Hey friends, welcome back. I'm excited for today's episode. We're going to delve into an area that I haven't talked about yet that I feel is very, very timely for right now, which is the beginning of the year, post 2020. So, I'm going to talk to you about being sober curious, but more than that, some particular tools, some particular things that I've been finding to help to reduce alcohol consumption, things that I am using and love, and that I've been really, really pleasantly surprised by. So, why I wanted to talk about this is with the state of the world right now, with everything that we went through in 2020, and with everyone wanting a fresh start right now, I feel like there's so many people that know that they were relying too heavily on alcohol for stress management and relief last year, and who would like to have some alternatives to that going forward, even though right now we might feel like we need even more of that sort of stress management. So, this is not to diminish in any way that sobriety is, for some people, a life or death situation, and for some people, it is wrapped up with all kinds of trauma and horrible experiences that you've had. I want to honor and hold space for those things. But at the same time, there are those of us who are not in that situation, who enjoy the occasional glass of wine, like to celebrate in that way, but want to biohack it a little bit, maybe want to find some healthy leverage with that, maybe want to moderate that a little bit. So I looked up some statistics, and it turns out that 50% of adults in the United States right now are trying to moderate their alcohol consumption. And if you look at the millennials, that number increases to 66%. Why that might be? Well, it makes a lot of sense to me. Millennials and Gen Z are driving the market for cleaner products, for more ethically sourced products. We're seeing clean fabrics, we're seeing a lot more plant-based diet things out there. So it does follow that we would also be looking for cleaner options with all the types of consumption that we have, and healthy alternatives to those things as well. So here are 5 things that I am loving right now as alcohol alternatives. And one of them is not an alcohol alternative, but it is a healthier option for alcohol. So I'm going to get my list here. I don't want to miss out on anything that I have for you today. Number 1 is euphorics, euphorics.com. I don't have any association with that company other than I love their products. Euphorics has done something really cool, and as an herbalist, it's something that I find extremely fascinating. They have created what they call euphorics, and euphorics are to be used just like a cocktail or a nightcap. And a euphoric, it includes obviously liquid, and then it includes different herbal components. So maybe it's bitters to have something taste more like gin, or maybe it's adaptogenic herbs to help your body to adapt to stress and changing conditions, or maybe it's sedative herbs to help you to be calm and fall asleep more easily. And they've combined that with nootropics. So what are nootropics? Nootropics are substances, they can be drugs, they can be supplements, they can be other things that are claimed to improve cognitive function. So especially your higher functioning, your executive function, your memory, your creativity, your motivation. And with nootropics, these are often materials that are already produced in your brain, but for some of us maybe are not produced in the amounts where we feel good all the time. And so these are substances can be very supportive to our overall mental health. So they've combined that with the power of adaptogens, and I just think that's so incredible. I found out about kin when I was doing my autoimmune paleo reset this past summer, because I couldn't have any alcohol at all on that. And I like to have a cocktail outside when the weather is gorgeous and I want to just take in everything. So I ordered their High Road, which is one that has rhodiola. It's obviously an adaptogenic herb that a lot of us have heard of. And the High Road is meant to help you to be like really in the mood for conversation and connection during a cocktail hour. So not one that's necessarily going to put you to sleep, but it definitely does help you to feel relaxed, and it does help you to feel more open to connection. which is something I feel that a lot of us are missing right now. So you can use the high road all on its own on the rocks, or you can mix it like a gin and tonic if you want, with lime juice and club soda. You can use it a lot of different ways. They also have another product that I have on the way right now in the mail that is more of a nightcap. I can't remember what the name of that one is, but it has ashwagandha in it, and it has nootropics in it that help with sleep. When we get into the deep winter, a lot of us will experience some sleep disruption because there's so many hours of darkness, and it kind of messes with our circadian rhythms. So I think anything that you can do to enhance your quality of sleep right now is great, especially because one of the purposes for winter is to be in that state of rest and recuperation. So that's number one. Number two is completely from the herbal world, and that is kava. So kava, otherwise known as kava, is an herb that is from the Pacific Islands, and it has been used for thousands of years. It has been used ceremonially, it has been used for gatherings, it has been used for celebrations. It's basically for any kind of social event where you want to create a sense of connection. It's similar to the idea behind euphorics, but it is just an herb on its own. And how you prepare this herb is that you are going to brew it or steep it. I've been making it as Rosemary Gladstar's chai recipe. So I am brewing my kava, maybe a quarter cup of kava with some chai spices, so cinnamon and star anise and clove and a little bit of cardamom pods. And I have that on a slow simmer on the stove for a couple of hours. And then I take that off and I strain it and I mix it with coconut milk and some sweetener and then put it back on the stove and warm it up. And then we enjoy that as an evening beverage when we want to just have a little bit of a buzz. So kava is an herb that is an intoxicant. And this was something that sort of blew my mind when I started learning about herbalism, is that there's herbs that aren't alcohol that can produce similar effects that are legal. This is one of those. In fact, they tell you when you're under the influence of kava, you're not going to be wanting to be driving or operating heavy equipment or that sort of thing. Having said that, I find that it is a much milder buzz than, being drunk. But it is definitely an intoxicant. You will get a buzz. And the thing that I will say about kava is go slowly. I, for myself, notice the effects of kava for days afterwards, and it's not always a positive effect. So if I've gone overboard with kava, which is easy to do because your buzz is not going to be as strong, you might find yourself in some brain fog for at least a day afterwards where you're just like, oh, why can't I think? And it's sort of like a hangover, but in some ways it's worse. But in some ways it's better because kava doesn't have any of the negative drawbacks of alcohol in terms of, the potential to cause fatty liver disease and being very addictive and things like that. I don't experience kava to be habit forming in any way. It's something that we have just once in a while as something special. And I really like to have it as a chai. There are more traditional ways to make kava. I have not personally have not made kava in that way yet. Perhaps this summer I will, but right now I'm just really wanting that warm, cozy beverage in the evenings, and the kava chai really hits that note for me. So that is number 2, is kava. When you're sourcing your kava, you want to be sure that you're getting it from a very reputable source. And the reason is that kava can be very easily adulterated with cheaper forms of the root that are actually harder on the body. And so I would recommend getting your kava from a place that specializes in kava. There's different companies from the Pacific region that specialize specifically in kava, and I've sourced kava from those types of companies before. I actually got my most recent kava from Mountain Rose Herbs, and I will be putting a link for that in the show notes. If that's something that you're interested in playing with, you can order some. Okay, number 3. Clean wine. Okay, so if you know me at all, you know that I'm a huge wine lover. I am not an alcohol person, I'm a wine person. I honestly could walk away from cocktails the rest of my life and not think about it at all. I could actually walk away from white wine and not think about it at all. But I really, really love to experience red wines, especially when I'm traveling, when I'm kicking back and relaxing on a Friday night, when I am having some time with girlfriends. I really like to have a great glass of wine in my hand, and I love it for the experience of the wine. I love everything about it. I love the body of it. I love learning the history of the wine and the winemakers. I like to know about the terroir, the sort of ground that I grew in, and the wind can just, like, I'm into it, you guys. And I have been for a long time. And it's one of those things where, as a person that has a lot of other dietary restrictions due to intolerances and genetic issues, wine is something that my body does not have a bad reaction to. So this is something that I allow myself occasionally, but that I do want to moderate. And when I am drinking wine, I do want to make sure that I'm drinking high quality wine. So something that I've learned recently and that I've been experimenting with, and man, I really can tell a difference, is clean wines. You might not be aware, but alcohol does not have the same food labeling requirements as our food does. If we go and buy a food at the grocery store, they are required by law to list everything that's in that product on the label. Not so with alcohol and not so with wine. So when winemakers are trying to make a consistent product where every time you go and you buy that wine, it tastes the same every time, they are allowed to add in synthetic ingredients to obtain that flavor profile that they're wanting to go for consistency. So when a wine is mass produced, it's very common that this sort of thing is done. In addition to that, there's other chemicals that are put in there as preservatives, and depending on what the source was for those grapes, there are residual pesticides that are in the wine. In fact, grapes are one of the most heavily sprayed crops that there is because they are so prone to different kinds of diseases, bacteria and fungus especially. So when you're buying a bottle of wine off of the rack, you don't know what you're getting. And there's actually no way to verify what's in there unless you send it in yourself to be tested to find out what's in it. So I got really interested in clean wines and if there was such a thing. And there's a couple of companies that are doing really great work with clean wines. One is Dry Farm Wines and the other is Scout and Cellar. Dry Farm Wines is sourcing their wines from vineyards that are doing dry farming, which is a type of farming that requires a lot less pesticides. And I don't know that much about it other than that. But because of that, they are having a lot less pesticides in their wines, and they actually intentionally make their wines low in sugar and sulfates as well. So that means that if you're reducing the amount of sugar in your diet, this would be a type of wine that you might want to look at. However, I have found them to be quite expensive, and it's fine for once in a while, but it's not something that I could look at consistently as something that I can invest in at this time. So then I found Scout and Cellar. Scout and Cellar is a network marketing company. I don't have any attachment to them either of these companies actually. But I am a member of their wine club because I have found their wines to be absolutely stellar. So I want to read to you what they do. With their clean crafted wines, they go through 2 rounds of independent lab testing. That means that they are paying an independent company to come in and test their wines. And what they test for is to guarantee that it's free of synthetic pesticides, chemical additives, and has fewer than 100 parts per million of total sulfites. So if you are a person that is concerned about toxicity in your toxic load for any reason, and everyone should probably be concerned about that at this point, this would be a type of wine that you would want to look into. I have also noticed that a lot of their wines are lower in sugar, maybe not to the extent that the Dry Farm wines are, but they are on the lower side for sugar. So not only that, but they're like amazing wines. They're just like really, really great wines. And when you purchase as the wine club, you get more savings that way. And they have sales and deals all the time. So it's easy to keep your wine rack stocked for those occasions where you do want to imbibe. I love these wines. I notice like almost no hangover effect whatsoever from these wines at all. and they're enjoyable and they taste great. You would never know that they don't have a bunch of stuff added to them to taste better, because they really just taste like great wine. So these, for the wine lovers, these are two really great options to source some cleaner wines that don't have some of those other negative effects on the body that you might not even know that your body is having to deal with when you are drinking alcohol. Okay, number 4, Spritzers made from bia. So this is bia, for those of you looking at the blog, and this is from a company that I do partner with. This is from Isogenics. This is a botanical energy drink that has adaptogens and liquid vitamins. The reason I added this to the list is because a lot of you are loving the types of alcoholic drinks that are mixed with energy drinks, which, man, that packs a punch to your system. It's super, super, super hard on your liver and your kidneys to be mixing sugar, alcohol, and caffeine all at the same time. It's just so much for your body to eliminate. But if you're a person that loves caffeine, and if you're a person that loves alcohol buzz, and if you're a person that loves sugar, you are ticking a lot of your boxes by using those sorts of alcoholic beverages, but they're not great for you. What I love about bia is that it has caffeine in it, but it's naturally sourced, not synthetic caffeine. A lot of the energy drinks out there have synthetic caffeines that are super, super tough for your body to deal with. Then it also has liquid vitamins in it that are very absorbable to your system. So you're actually giving your system nutrition with this, which helps with your stress response. It helps with how you feel. And then it has different adaptogenic blends. And this is all completely food-based, by the way. All of the vitamins and minerals and everything in here are coming from whole foods. So things like spinach, broccoli, carrot, sweet potato, apple, strawberry, shiitake mushroom, maitake mushroom. There's even raspberry ketones in there. So this is a really great biohacked way to have an energy drink beverage. And it's already sparkly. So you can actually just drink this on its own. Or you could blend this just like you blend your normal cocktails that you make with your energy drinks. Maybe you'd want to blend it with some ice and some cream, or some more club soda, or some bitters or botanicals or something. There's a lot that you could play with here. But even just on its own, it's a really, really great substitute. And there are three flavors of this: citrus sunrise, a berry one, and then my favorite is the mango, because I love mango. So those are a really great option, like I said, for those of you that love the energy drinks mixed as alcohol. It's not going to have an alcohol effect, but it is going to have a positive effect on your mood because of the adaptogenic herbs in there, and then because of the fact that you're actually nutrifying your body instead of taking nutrient away because of a stress response for all the junk that you're putting in. So that is number 4, and I will be putting a link for that in the show notes for you. And then number 5 is not a beverage, but it's an effect. So a lot of us are reaching for alcohol because we're looking for better mood, and we are looking for a state of euphoria, and we are looking for stress relief. If that's what you're looking for, I want to direct you to ASMR, which I know is a very weird thing, but for some of us, you're going to get even better results with your stress management than you will with having a bunch of wine in the evening. Instead, go to YouTube and look up an ASMR video. So what am I even talking about? ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. Sometimes autosensory meridian response. It's a tingling sensation that begins on the scalp and moves down the back of the neck and the upper spine in some people, but I find that with ASMR, it will trigger different responses in different people. So my husband feels ASMR in his heart chakra, not in his head. And I feel it in my head. And it's just a very, very deep state of relaxation. Very similar, in fact, to that I experienced from a sound bath. And so with ASMR, there are videos that have different triggers, and it's kind of funny. It's like very soft talking, and like sounds like this. Or maybe crinkling paper, or a role play of somebody brushing your hair. If you love people playing with your hair, you're probably an ASMR person. And that's something to note. Not everybody has the ASMR response, and it's not wrong if you don't. There's nothing wrong with you if you don't experience those sensations. It can still be really a stress relief to just sit there and listen to someone talking very softly on a video. But if ASMR is not for you, it's not for you. For me, when I am the most stressed out, that is actually what I go to over anything else. I find it to be very very nurturing and like comforting, almost in a maternal way. And my body goes into a really, really, really deep state of relaxation with ASMR. My favorite ASMR practitioner on YouTube is Gentle Whispering. Her name is Maria, and she's amazing. So I'll put a link for her YouTube channel here as well. And I want, even if you've never tried ASMR, I want you to go and try it and tell me how crazy you think it is. The first time I saw it, I was like, my first response was like, what on earth is this? And then secondly, I was like, is this porn? But then I was like, no, there's nothing like really sexual about this. It's sensual because it's soft and it's gentle, but it's not sexual. And then I was like, oh, I'm getting really relaxed. And then I felt the tingling. And for me, the tingling is like whole body. So try it out. Let me know what you think. If you've used any of these alcohol alternatives, or if if you've found something else that you really like that works for you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Please comment, like, subscribe, and save, and hit that notification bell. And if you're listening on your podcast app, I always appreciate the shares, and I especially appreciate those 5-star reviews, and I will see you next time.